Mocha, start recording. Okay, good.
Okay. We spoke yesterday and the sheet of the Ramban, that the Ramban says nation mafsikin. He starts off with questions that in Hallel and in Kriya Shema we're mafsik, and after we came, we don't say it over again. So it's similar that the hafsaka doesn't matter. You can still make a bracha. Then he brings from Kriyas HaTorah and from Kriyas Demiyusha with Kriyas Demiyumah. So we said yesterday there's two things. That Ramban is Oisik on two things. The first two rise that he brings from Hallel and Kriya Shema is that hefsek is not mafsik the chefts of the mitzvah. That even though I was mafsik in the middle of Kriya Shema, I was mafsik in the middle of Hallel, it's still a chefts of Hallel, and that's why I don't have to make the bracha again, and I don't have to start from the beginning again. The second thing is the rise that he brings from Kriyas HaTorah, from Kriyas Demiyusha, from Kriyas Demiyumah, is that sometimes, because Seder Shel Sidur Shel Yom in the Lashon of the Ramban, that's the Seder that Chachamim wanted, so the Chatchila they were mesakin with the hefsek. So, and they could be mesakin with the hefsek because of the first two rise that the hefsek is not mafsik the cheftes mitzvah. So, and since the hefsek is not mafsik the cheftes mitzvah, so when Chazal saw a necessity to make a certain Seder, so they made that Seder, even though there's a hefsek, in between, doesn't matter. So a clear riot to this Mahalach in the Ramban, is because Rabbeinu David in Psochim, Kuf Yud Zayin, he speaks over there also about making a bracha on Hallel. So he says that when Chazal wanted a certain Seder, Sidur Shel Yom, so therefore they were mesakin it with the hefsek. So also over here, Hallel, they were mesakin when he brings down the sheet, they were mesakin that he only brings the two rayas from Kriyas Demiyusha, Kriyas Demiyumah, and from Kriyas HaTorah. So you see that these are the four rayas that the Ramban brings are separated. And so therefore, like we spoke yesterday, what the Brisker wants to say, that the hefsek is a siman, that this is not Hallel of Kriya, but it's a Hallel of Shira. And then the Hallel of Shira, the whole Hallel is not Akif, and that's why you can split it up. It's a siman. And therefore, the kasha that the Ramban asked on Reb Semach Goyin and the Goyinim, that the hefsek, that he learns that hefsek is a sibah, and that's why he asked his questions. And Briskov wants to answer that no, hefsek is only a siman and not a sibah. It's only a siman that this is not a hal of kriya, it's a hal of shira. According to the way we explained the Ramban, so it doesn't make a difference whether it's a hal of whether you want to learn that hefsek is a sibah or hefsek is a siman, because since the first two rayas that Ramban brings is that hefsek is not mafsik the chefts of the mitzvah. So just like it's not a chisorin in hal the kriya, so it's also not a simmer that this is a hal of shira. Just like it's not a sibah, why I don't make a bracha. I'm sorry. Just like it's not a sibah, why I don't make a bracha. It also is not a simon that this is not a hal the kriya, because we're saying the first two rayas the Ramban brings is mitzad etzem chefts of the mitzvah. The hefsek is not mafsik, doesn't destroy the chefts of the mitzvah. But even though I was mafsik, the only question that remains is that Einoch Inami is not mafsik the chefts of the mitzvah, but still, like the Rekeach time is that the Chatchila to go ahead and be mesakin with a hefsek, a bracha, when I'm going to be mafsik, we're not mesakin. So on that, the Rambam brings the other two rayas. This we spoke yesterday. That sometimes Chazal had, because of Kaimim Shalahem, they wanted to make dafka the hefsek, Kriyas Demiyusha, Kriyas Demiyumah, and Kriyas HaTorah resign Gav. Okay, that was the beer in the Ramban. So we explained. So we explained that that's why the Rebbe in the Haggadah Tzeichel Su first the Kolboy, and then the Rekeach, because the Churid Ramban is arguing on this whole thing. What does the Kolboy say? that the reason why we don't make a bracha on Dal Kosov Yishem Sokin, so we said L'chura according to the sheet of the Ramban with the email. This is some Rishonim that learn like him. So he's going to argue on this reason, according to the way we explained, L'chura, the Ramban is also not a steer to this reason, because the difference between Hallel and the difference between Hallel and Dal Kosov is that Dal Kosov, the Diak Haloshon of the Kolba is Mufsakin. The Dal Kosov, each kos has to be a kos miyuchat for itself. So in other words, when I don't have Dal Kosov in front of me. When I'm oising kos aleph, I have to be oising only in kos aleph. And therefore, at the time that I'm drinking kos aleph, I can't make a bracha lishteis dalet koses, because right now I'm dealing only with kos aleph. Kos beis comes separate, and there has to be this hefsek. The mitzvah of dalet koses is dalet koses mufsakim. It's at the etzem chefze. And then even the Ramban will agree that over here I can't make a bracha because I don't have dalet koses. When can I make a bracha according to the sheet of the Ramban? When the mitzvah b'chtzat chefzosa is one big mitzvah. Except for some reason we are mafsik. The gavra is mafsik. That hefsek of the gavra is not mafsik the mitzvah. So then I could make a bracha. That's even according to the sheet of Ramban. And that's why the Rebbe Tzeichen Su, the Kol Boy first, because according to the Kol Boy, I have a reason for dalet kaises. The dafka by dalet kaises I can't make a bracha because I'm musakin. It's Tzeichen Su the Rekeach that he also goes along with a similar shita, but it's not the same shita. By the Rekeach, he puts together dalet kaises with halal. And if I put together dalet kaises with halal, and he goes with the shita that wherever there's a hefsek, that chazal, the chatchila, we're not misakin a bracha, and hefsek helps only with the evet, but chatchila, when I'm do the mitzvah with hefsek, chazal we're misakin a bracha. So he puts dalet kaises together with halal. He doesn't say this nekuda. So the Itzeichen Su that the Rekeach that he also says the same halacha, the same psak that he don't make a bracha. But the shita of the Rekeach is not the same shita, is not the same hezber as the shita of the Kolber. This we spoke yesterday. This we spoke yesterday about the Kolber. Now let's go again in the Haggadah. By Halal. That the Rebbe brings by Halal, Ein bewochen Halal zeh, Reb Tzemach Goyen, Zatzal Pirush Vishem Afsikin Boy Besuda. Rav Hai Goyen Zatzal Pirush Shein Ele Kokei B'Teiru. So from this lotion of the Ezerua is mashma that the void by Halal is not like the Biskarov wants to learn that both reasons are combined, and like it's mashma pashas in the Mordechai and the pashas in the lotion of the Rav, and that's in other places. And much more, it's not over here. Over here, he clearly separates it as two separate shitas. From Rav Hai Goy, like we already said, it's not a steer to this image that we don't make a bracha, because Rav Hai Goy said the emes, he's talking a little bit of emes that even if I would hold that by dal kos I can make a bracha, over here by Hallel I don't need this reason. I don't need the reason of mafsikin because it's not Hallel. In other words, according to Rav Tzemach Goyen, the Hallel that we say in Leil Pesach is Hallel. It is a Kriyas Hallel. But since we're mafsik in the Kriyas Hallel, so therefore we don't make a bracha, which that's similar to Dal cases. According to the Rekeach, it's mamish like Dal cases that we don't make a bracha. But according to Rav Hai Goyen, it's not a steer to Dal cases. He's saying by Hallel it's even more. It's not Kriyas Hallel. Therefore we can't make a bracha Kriyas Hallel. It's only Kekayr B'Teiru. That's that it brings. Now, The Rebbe goes on. Even though the Kriyas Halal has to be Me'umet, we read it even Yusuf. And on that he'd say Chansu, Shulchan Aruch Admor Zokin, Simen Tov Ein Gimel, Simen Sif Mem Zayin, Mem Ches. In Sif Mem Zayin, the Alter Rebbe writes, Ein Mevochen al Hal Shekoyim B'Layla Azeh, Fish Koyim say, Ein Koyim Yisib B'Pam Achas, because we don't read it in one time. Koyim Miksos L'Fnei Asudeh, Miksos L'Acha B'Chas Hamot. This Sif has nothing to do with the next Keta. This has to do with the first Keta. That the Alter Rebbe seems to be passing like a Tzemach Goyim. And all those that hold like his Shita. It has nothing to do with whether we stand or sit. Sif Mem Ches is taken this halacha. Af b'shekviyas halu me'umet. Question by Simon Tov Chof. V'kol mokem halu shebelayla zeh koyin aseh afilu meyushev. V'shekol ma'aseh layla zeh hu derech cherus. This light, the halu this night we read it even sitting, because everything that we do in this night is derech cherus. V'fichoch ein matrichen aseh lamed. Therefore, we're not matrichen to stand. That's so. Why does the Rebbe say Chatzu Sif Mem Zayin? So, according to the way we're saying that, according to Rav Hai Goyen, Ein Ela K'Kreir B'Teiro, and therefore you don't make a bracha. That according to Rav Hai Goyen, it's not a Kriyas Halal. It's not a mitzvah of Kriyas Halal. It's only K'Kreir B'Teiro. So I don't need the whole Sif Mem Ches. When the Alter Rebbe says in Sif Mem Ches that even though the mitzvah of Halal is Likroy Isim Umet, so Vice the Chois that Kriyas Halal, that tonight we are reading Halal and there's a mitzvah of Kriyas Halal. It's a mitzvah of Kriyas Halal. According to Rav Tzemach Goyen, I don't need that reason. According to Rav Tzemach Goyen, and the Alter Rebbe, excuse me, the Alter Rebbe asked the question, mitzvah of Kriyas Halal is Mu'umet, B'layla zeh, since Kol Ma'isa Layla zeh is derech cherus, therefore Ein Matrichen Esoi Lamed. I have to come on to this reason, Ein Matrichen Esoi Lamed, because Kol Ma'isa zeh is derech cherus. I have is only if tonight, if by the Haggadah I'm reading Halal as the mitzvah of Kriyas Halal. So according to based by according to Tzemach Goyim that he says that the reason we don't make a bracha is because we split the Halal. And according to the way the Rekeach says, so it's understood. But according to the way of Hai Goyim says, so therefore I don't need this reason. The question is not a question. Why do we say it Meryusha? Because we're not saying it's not the mitzvah of Kriyas Halal tonight. So that's why the Rebbe Tzeichen Su, Sif Mem Zayin, Sif Mem Ches, that the reason why the Alter Rebbe says the reason is because Kol Ma'isa Layla Derech Cherus, because in Sif Mem Zayin, Taka only brings down Rav Tzemach Goyim. He doesn't bring down Rav Hai Goyim. And he learns that tonight, when reading the Halal B'Leil Pesach, it is a mitzvah of Kriyas Halal. That's point one. But however, if we take a look in the Makor of the Halacha, it's brought down in the Beis Yosef and Tov Chov Beis, and the Makor is a Shebola Haleket, that the mitzvah of Halal is Ba'amida. In the Shebola Haleket, in Sin Kuf Ein Gimel, he writes like this. V'chein en koyin is a Halal. V'heir Meir Rav Meir. The mitzvah is Halal Kriyasa Me'umet. The mitzvah of Halal, you have to read Dafka standing. Vatam kosov ochi Rabbi Yomin, and the reason why you have to say it David said, Al Shem HaKosov Halu Avdei Hashem She'en L'Reis Hashem. Klamer Halu Es Hashem V'Amidah. Because the pasuk says Halu Avdei Hashem She'en L'Reis Hashem. Now it's read the Halu standing. If he should Halu, why? If he should Halu Edus Shvocha Shel Mokem, because Halu is an Edus of the praises of the Eibishter. When it's of Benisav also Lona and the Niflois, or mitzvahs Edus Ba'amidah. And since we're saying Edus of the Niflois and the Nisim of the Eibishter, so therefore it has to be Dafka Ba'amidah. Shnema v'om d'shnei anoshim u'be'edim ha'kosov medav. It says v'om d'shnei anoshim, and when you're saying Edus, you have to stand. And then he adds, v'chein ha'yakoyim ha'yisei ba'azorah ashchitas ha'psochim Ba'amidah. And you used to read it also in the Azorah when they shechted the Korban Pesach. And over there, for sure, they read it by Midah, Shai En Yeshiva by Azor, because you're not allowed to sit in the Azor. And so he's seeming to say two reasons. One reason is because Halal is an Edis, Anisim, and the Flourish also don't have to. And secondly, because Halal, and you used to read it by Azor, by the Shchitas HaPesach, and over there they were standing. In the Mishnah Berurah, there's an afkamina between the two reasons, whether you can make smichet during Halal, whether you can lean on something. If the reason is because in the Azorah they used to stand, so then you in the Azorah there is no Isra of Smicha. All the Isra is sitting. There because the whole dinner of the Midah by Azorah is because of COVID for the base of Mikdash. But if the reason is because of Edus, by Edus there's an Isra of Smicha. Therefore, you're not, you have to stand completely. They can't be Seimach. You have to stand completely. And Umasha Koyin, I say, then the after he says this, Umasha Koyin, I say, B'leil Psochim b'Yeshiva b'Teich Shechok, and I say, Shen Koyin, I say, Kula Ka'achas, Ein Matrichen, I say, Lambert. Either because we are mafsik in this hollow, so therefore we're not matriach to stand. And then he says another reason because he has to have the kois biyodei, shem kiterv deitim, matriach sedosim, yipra kois biyodei. So therefore, when you read how in the basic Knesset, you have to read it standing. And since you already said how it's standing, so you say Lamoi. So the Lashon in the Alter Rebbe is mamish like the Shebola Leket's Lashon. Not like the Chok Yaakov. The Chok Yaakov seems to say there's a chiyuv of dafka b'yeshiva. That's why even those that stand the whole year by Havdalah, but B'leil Pesach, you have to sit by Havdalah. It makes it a chiyuv, because Kol Ma'aseh Laila said they're chiyuvs. The Lashon in the Alter Rebbe is a matrichin oiselam. That you're not matriach him to stand, because you're sitting already. But if you want to say it standing, you can say it standing. And this is not in the Lashon in the Shebola Leket, a matrichin oiselam. Okay, that's a side issue. Another place we'll speak about. Maybe I don't know if we have time. Al Kaponim. What are the two reasons that the Shebola Leket says that we have to stand by Halal? One reason is because Eidus al Nisim Niflois Shalakadish Bo. Eidus you have to stand. The second reason is because Halal was said by Shchitas HaPesach, and over there you have to say it standing because Ein Yeshiva Ba'azor. According to both reasons, there's no nafkamina whether you're saying Halal b'teres Shira or you're saying Halal b'teres Kriya. Let's go with the word of the Briskuro. What? Because what are the reasons? I'm saying Eidus on Nifnisim and Niflois Shalakadish Bo. And the Halal of Shchitas HaPesach that was standing, that was a Halal of Shira, not a Halal of Kriya. Because we said our Shchitas HaPesach, that's a Halal of Shira. So the Chura, according to the two reasons of the Shebola Leket, there's no nafkamina whatsoever, whether it's Halal of Kriya or Halal of Shira. You would have to stand by either Halal. Since you're saying Halal, you're saying Eidus, Anisim and Niflois Shalakadish Baruch Hu, or you're saying praises, you're saying a Shira, a song for that. So the Chura, there's no nafkamina. And Halal of Shchitas HaPesach was also Halal, that was Shira. So the Chura, so the whole thing that we said, why does it say to stiff man Zayin? is because, according to Rav Hai Goyen, it doesn't have a din of kriyas halal, so therefore there wouldn't be a question of why are we sitting. And that's why it's Sif Mem Zayin to tell you that there is a question and have to come on after to the reason of because because Kol Maisa Laila Zeh is B'derech Chelus. That have to come on to that reason. So according to the reason that you have to stand behold, the way it says in Shmuel Alek, this is not true. So therefore, whether I learn like a Haigoin or I learn like a Semach, it doesn't make a difference because according to the Hezbollah of the Brisker law. So the Brisker law learned Pshat in Rav Hai Goyen, and that's the Lashon Taka in the Ranim Psachim. The Ein Omer B'Teres Kriyas Halal, B'Teres Koyin, Ela B'Teres Shira. The passive Lashon of the Ram is mashma clearly like the Hasbara of the Brisker law. That he says it's two dinim in Halal, in Kriya, in Shira, and on Shira there is no bracha. However, let's take a look. What's the Lashon that the Mordechai quotes? The Lashon that the Mordechai quotes is not like the Lashon that the Ran says. The Mordechai's Lashon is
Say the betzor.
Gott hat nicht in Wochen auf liegen, weil ich schon mal sicken bei Lechos zu das, mein kekoyre bealma. The Lashon of the Mordechai is kekoyre bealma. The Lashon of the Zerua that the Rebbe quotes in the Haggadah, that the Rebbe quotes in the Haggadah is she'eino elo kekoyre batayro. So in the Mordechai, the Lashon is kekoyre bealma, she'eino elo kekoyre batayro. The Lashon of the Ran is B'teres Shir. If it's taka din halal of Amir Shir, like the sheet of the Bahag that the Brisker law brings, that there's a halal of B'teres Shira, when a nest happens to Kol Yisrael, so you have to say halal of B'teres Shira, separate chiyuv, besides the Yud Ches Yomim when it's halal of B'teres Shira. What's the Lashon Koyer B'Teira? What's the Lashon Koyer B'Alma? What kind of Lashon? Say it like the Ran, B'teres Shira. So from the Lashon of the Ruah and the Lashon of the Mordechai is clearly mashma. It's clearly mashma that it's not a din of Amir's halal at all. Not B'teres Kriya, not B'teres Shira. What is it? Let's take a look in the Lashonos of the Rishonim.
Why not Teres Kriya?
What?
Why can't we say it's Teres Kriya according to the Mordechai?
Koyer B'Alma. He says, it's like he's not saying halal. Let's take a look at the Lashon of the Rishonim. In the Rabbeinu David, the Pesachim, he says, Kriyas halal seder hakoises leimer shlihidur hakoises hibo leimer aleim shir eight two medroch. So over here also used the lashon shir, but he says the halal is said, so we should be saying a shir on the koises. A shir on the koises. In the halachas of the in the hilchas of Ritvah, on the hilchas seder hagodah of the Ritvah, the lashon is that's kederach shir. The halal that we say is the derech shir shetikna kol kois inyan b'fnei atzum k'vi mashu. Al kois echad rei l'sad kiddush. Al kois beis seder agod l'sapu v'tzias mitzrayim v'shvachalo v'lachsim v'brocho v'al gimel birchas hamozen. So the ficha shnina she'em al kois dal brocho shel shvach. So he's saying, so the Ritva in the Hilchas Seder HaGod, he says also, it's a din of shir ala kois. That's the din of the halal that we're saying. Let's take a lotion. It's even the strongest lotion is in the Ritva, which is printed in the Sechta Sukkah. Vade halal b'Haggadah eina nemar b'derech chiyuv halal, el b'derech zemer. We don't say b'derech chiyuv halal. We say b'derech zemer. V'chein b'chas haluchas emer brochas hashvach b'fnei atzmo leficha karu b'chas hashir, and like he brings back in the Hilchas Ritva on the Seder HaGodah, because there's a day in the Gemara that what is the b'chas hashir? Nishmas. So we're not talking about brochas of halal at all. We're talking about birchas hashir. We're talking about birchas hashvach. These are the halal that we're saying is that since the second case, the lotion of the don't have it over here. One of the Rishonim, the lotion is. The Haggadah is only a sipur dvorim. It's not a shira. So therefore, in order to say a shir on the second case, so we put halal over there. So that's the lashon also the Mordechai and the Zerua. K'koyer b'teira, k'koyer b'alma legabe. There's no mitzvah of halal over there. Not like the mitzvah that's a mitzvah of halal, but halal b'teira shira. It's not a mitzvah of halal though. We have to. The whole Haggadah is a sipur dvorim, and it's not. And I'm shir el ala kois. So therefore, the Masak and halal as a shir ala kois. That I should say a shir ala kois, ala yain on the kois by the second kois. Because since we're drinking a kois, we should say a shir ala kois. And that's the lashon of the word. And the lashon of the Ritva in Sukkah is in el zemer ba'alma. It's only b'torah zemer. That's the type of koyer b'torah, koyer ba'alma. It's not halal at all. Not like the Biskarov. And that's clearly muchach in the lashon of the Alter Rebbe, in both sifrim, Simon Zayin and Simon Ches. And koyrin ala halal shekoyer b'layla hazeh. Now it's a regular halal, but we read it behefsek, like the Tzemach Kohen says. Avi shekriyas halal himu umed lashon kriyas halal. You know, so he's clearly the Alter Rebbe is clearly passing like of high goy. And verkehrt. Not like a fact, like a tzemach goy. No, he's clearly paskening that it's like a tzemach goy, that the only reason why we don't say the bracha is because mafsikin. That's a tzemach goy. Like that day. Like the Ramban quotes it.
I thought you wanted to be madgish the word shekoyim belayla and kriyasal.
No, verkehrt. Allah ein mevorchen ala halal. Halal is a halal. It is a halal. He compares it to a halal. And so it won't make a difference whether halal b'teira is kairin, the halal b'teira is shira. It is halal tonight. And it passed clearly because when Rav Hai Goyin says, according to the lashon of the Mordechai, or the lashon of the in the Zerua, what they're saying is it's not an amiris halal. It's not a chef. It's not saying it as a chefts of halal. Not b'teres kriya, not b'teres shir. And that lashon and fakir, the lashon that the Ran uses, el b'teres shir, could be. It doesn't mean halal b'teres shira. That could be taken the Bahagas mashma. There's a din of halal b'teres shira. Not only b'teres karin, there is taken a shita. They want to say this is not a halal at all. It's only a shira ala kois. That's this hollow. That's all it is. And that's why the Rebbe said in Sud after the Sif Mem Zayin and Sif Mem Ches and Fakir. So you see that the Rebbe is learning that in the Pshatim of High Goyin, it's not a hollow at all. And that's the Lashon that he quotes from the Zerua. That it's not a hollow at all. And that's why it's Zeichen Su also Sif Mem Zayin to tell you that I need to read that Sif Mem Ches is built on Sif Mem Zayin. Without Sif Mem Zayin, I don't. Since there are shittas in the Rishonim and Rav Haigoy that says that it's
just shira, not really.
What?
It's just
a shira, not halibutary shira, a shira ala kois. So that according to that, I don't need any reason, so we can sit. It's only a shira ala kois. Now let's go. It still remains. Why does it say in Su? The question: why does it say in Su dafka to the Zerua? Why does it say in Su dafka to the Zerua?
Also, the fact that he's starting with Tzemach Goyen, it means that he's not holding like the Ramban. Saying the Ramban says that even with the Efsek, you still.
No, that's okay. That's a separate machlokas. Right. That's a separate machlokas. Nothing to get to what we're saying. Okay, let's take a look at the lashon of the Zerua that the Rebbe is quoted. Here's the whole lashon. Now, Kriyas Halav of Leil Pesach, Pirshu HaGoinim, on Kriyas Halav of Leil Pesach, the Goinu explains that we don't make a bracha. The fish mafsikin boy v'eichasudosei ve'ein ele kakoyer b'alma. So we hear in the Zerua at the beginning of Sif Mem Gimel, he also makes a taruvus. But no, it's the whole diuk of the Brisker Rov. The whole diuk of the Brisker Rov was that the Ran seems to put both shittas together. That the Mordechai seems to put both shittas together. That's the diuk. So therefore, he wants to say that Mafsikin is only a siman and not a siva. Let's take a look at the Zerua. Well, how's it written in the Zerua? Al kriyas ha'al shavlei Pesach. Pirsha Goynin, she'em mevorchen alov, with philosophy shemafsikin boy ve'echasudosei ve'ein elek kakoyer b'alma. So also proportion. According to the Briskerov, that's very nice. But how is the mamshich? The mamshich of semach goyin pirish lefi shemafsikin boy besuda, Rav Hai goyin pirish ein elek kakoyer b'teiv. That's the lashon that the Rebbe called. So over here, you have the diuk of the Briskerov in the beginning, but how does he finish it off? That's two shittas. He finishes off. The Rav Semach Goyen says this reason, and Rav Hai Goyen says this reason. So what's the pshat in the Zerua? So the pshat in the Zerua is that the Chatchila is only talking about the halacha l'maisa. Halacha l'maisa ain't kavin, ain't mevorchin al halbelei Pesach. They don't make a bracha on the halbelei Pesach. And in the halacha l'maisa, both Rav Semach Goyen and Rav Hai Goyen, they both agree. That's why he's ma'ariv the two reasons, even though it's two separate reasons. And then he fears us that this is not the pshat that it's one sheet, one reason. It's two separate reasons. And that's why he separates a semach goyin and a fai goyin. So according to this, the whole diuk that the Briskerov falls off. Because maybe that what the Ran and the Mordechai are the bullshitters is because they're only talking about the halacha l'maisa that we don't make a bracha, and the halacha l'maisa that if you don't make a bracha, they both agree. Even though that in the reasons it's talking two separate reasons. That according to Rav Semach Goyen, it is a kriyas halal, except mafsikin boy, and that's why we don't make a bracha. And it's negate other halachas. Do we have to stand? Don't we have to stand? It's like sif mem chet. And according to Rav Hai Goyen, it's not a kriyas halal. It's only a shir ala kois. That's all it is. It's only a shir ala kois. That's all it is.
Can you say
so what, we can say the same thing in the Ran. In the Ran, we can also say that's why. But when we asked in the beginning, why does the Rebbe, since all the Rishonim in the Sechus Pesachim in this sugi of Amiris halal, write these things? So why did the Rebbe kriach dafke to a Zerua verworfen in my market? Why couldn't he just bring from the Rishonim in Pesachim? Because dafke in the Zerua, you have this deal that it's two separate sheets. If you take the Rishonim in Lashon Pesachim, it looks like it's one sheet, and it looks like it looks like, so it comes out that the Rebbe is beferish learning not like the Biskarov. Mafsid ba'alma is not as limited as a halbater shira. Now, in the Rishonim itself, I just want to add this. Maybe you could add why does the Mordechai write Ein El Kakoyer ba'alma, and the Orizur writes the Loshen Ein El Kakoyer b'Tev. Why did Taka? What stressed him? What was bothering him? And then there is shear because it is a shear. Okay, the Ritva and Sukkot calls it the Zemer, which is B'chlal not Shaykh. In the Ritva and Sukkot, it's Muchach like this one. The Briskerov himself brings that Rabbeinu Yeina brings from Rabbeinu Tam in the beginning of the second paragraph of Prophets, that even when you say Halal B'Torah Shir, you have to make a bracha. Halal B'Torah Shir is also a halal. Not only Halal B'Torah Kriya is a halal. So since over here, it could be that the Mordechai and the Zerua and the other Rishonim, the Ritva, that they learn like the Rabbeinu Tam, the Rabbeinu Yeina brings, that even when I say Halal only B'Torah Shira, I have to make a bracha. And even if I'm not going to say the whole halal, I have to make a bracha. So according to this, that even halal b'terah shira, I have to make a bracha, even if I'm not saying the whole halal. So then the whole reason of mafsikin falls. Who cares about mafsikin? It's halal b'terah shira. So that's why you have to stress it's a din shira ala kois that we picked after these capitals to say shira ala kois, but there's no din of amiras halal. B'leil say, basic knesset, there's a din of amiras halal. But by the seder, especially according to our minhag that we say halal, basic knesset, so for sure there's no din of amiras halal by that because we already yaitz amiras halal of Leil Pesach. So why are we saying this halal by that God? So that's like it's the din of shira ala kois, because the whole amiras haggadah is only sipur dvorim, and the shira is after the halal. That's why we're saying the halal. So could be that's why what the Mordechai and the Ezra want to stress and dafka use this lashon clear the album. Oh, it's a Sefer HaManik. I don't have to Sefer HaManik. In the Sefer HaManik, he writes also. In the Sefer HaManik, he writes clearly that the only reason why we're saying we're not making a bruch on this halal, because the only reason why we're saying halal is because the Haggadah is sipur dvorim. It's in Sefer HaManik. And so therefore we want to say a shira lakos because ain't any shira ela yayin. So therefore we're saying the halal, the manik, which is muchach also in the mitzvah, the same nakuda. So comes out that over here basically we have a few sheet. One sheet is you can make a bracha, sheet of the Ramban. And if you could make a bracha, the sheet of the Ramban, so it wouldn't make a difference whether it's how according to Rabbeinu Tam, wouldn't make a difference whether it's how material is kriya or how material is shiva. Then we have another sheet that because of mafsikin, so that's why you can't make a bracha. The sheet of semach kohen. Then you have the sheet that no, it's not halal at all. It's only a shira ala kois. That's all it is. Okay, you have the Brisker law, but the Alter Rebbe clearly is arguing with the Brisker law. The Rebbe is clearly arguing with the Brisker law. And according to the way the Oris that the Rebbe is quoting, the whole diuk of the Brisker law also falls away.
So the reason the Rebbe brings the Rebbe going, there is no reason to bring him, because based on Rebbe Tzemach Cohen, we already know why we don't say halal. It's a pasha to be moitzi.
Why we don't say a broch?
Yeah, we don't say a broch. It's
right.
pasha to be moitzi from the pshat of the Brisker law. Is that the reason? That's the tzrichus of
the I mean, you can't ignore the Rav Hai. All the Rishonim bring Rav Hai. All the Rishonim bring Rav Hai. Okay, the Alter Rebbe passes like Reb Tzemach. The Alter Rebbe passes like Reb Tzemach, but there is the sheet. All the Rishonim bring Rav Hai going. You can't ignore it. So the reason why we don't make a bracha is the sheet of Rav Hai going. You can't ignore it. The question is, you have in Rav Hai going, you have now two pshat. Whether it's because halal and tereshir you don't say a bracha, and the Rishonim the Ritzvah that says it's only in a zever b'alma. And like he says in the Hilchos right on board, because it's only said al shir al kois, it's not said al salad at all. The Metzias Advarim is, I mean, according to some shittas, maybe we have to say that it's a halal, because there is a halal b'ris knesset. According to our minhag. Okay, the Ashkenazim don't say the halal b'ris knesset. So the Didan, there is a chiyuv halal b'leil Pesach. That's why we say the basic knesset. Shnei leilas. And the Mai said, since the shnei leilas are not counted in the Yud Ches Yavim, okay, that's good. What comes to forever, because it's not a din of kriya, it's a din of shish. Okay, could be, but now you have that the sheet of Rabbeinu Tam that even on Halabatir Shira you say a brach. If you're saying Halabatir Shira, according to the Bab, it doesn't make any difference. So according to that sheet, so why Taka don't make a bracha of Lil Pesach? Okay, if he said it already, basically, we said it already, basically, we yates it. But the whole thing becomes more moving. The Vitaka yates the Chiyuv Halal Vamir basically according to our minute. And the Halal over here at night is Taka only returns Shir ala Kois. And that's Taka what all the Rishonim say. And the deal that the Briskerov holds, that side of Iran and side of the Mordechai, Adirab, if you medayik the Lashon of the Mordechai, you can't say like that, because since he used the Lashon to Koyer Ba'alma, how can you call the Torah Shir a Koyer Ba'alma? How can you call it? It's not a Koyer Ba'alma. And you have the Shenis of all the Rishonim. So the Achroy is so it's like this. So by Dal Koit now, according to this, becomes even clearer why it's taken to the Kolbe before the Rekeach. According to the Rekeach, Dal Koit says it's just like how, and that will be Tolui in the Ramban will argue on that. So it's taken to the Kolbe. You know, there's a separate reason over here that even the Ramban will agree with that. Yes, okay, that's the terms I've learned.
No. In regards to the mitzvah of Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim, the Rebbe also brings the Nekudat. We don't say a bracha on that, but one of the reasons is because we're mafsik.
Oh, faked, right. So faked. By Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim, right. I wanted to mention. By Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim, when the Rebbe speaks why we don't make a bracha, so he brings a whole bunch of reasons why we don't make a bracha. The fourth reason he brings from the Shevach Pesach, fourth or the fifth reason he brings from the Shevach Pesach is because Shemafsikin by Bachil. The Mafsik over there is Chil. So the Chura over here,
it's mashma like the Agoda is continuing into Halal Nerza. No?
What?
But Pashto.
Yeah, the Agoda is continuing. Okay, you can make a Gavaldige Chilik. Why over there he brings all the other reasons, this it brings only as the fourth, fifth reason. So there's two points over here. One point is you could be Mechalik in the Agoda, that by the Agoda, as far as Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim is concerned, the holiday day is only a separate chiyuv. It's not the etzem mitzvah of Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim, except since we're Sapers, we also are Mahalal. It's like a separate thing. So it's not really a hefsek in the mitzvah of Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim. And especially according to the days that I could be the first reason that he brings, I don't need the whole Avishas HaSipur. So it's not a hefsek at all. I was already yaitz the whole mitzvah. I have the whole mitzvah. It's not a hefsek in the middle. Right. It's not a hefsek at all. According to all the earlier shittas that we bring. What is the mitzvah of laying this up? So it brings the other shittas. So then there is no hefsek. It's only if I say the kolam, it says kolam that the halal shvach for the etzem Yetzias Mitzrayim is also a chelik of the chiyuv of Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim. That's when I have to come out. That's when I can say the word of hefsek. But even according to that sheet, that word of hefsek is not the same like dal kois, because over here it's not the pshat. By dal kois, we're talking the hefts of the mitzvahs. Over here, it's not the heft of the mitzvah. It's not mechulik. The Mordechai brings. The Mordechai brings that Bisman Shbeis Mikdash Yekayim. He used to eat the meal before the Haggadah. He used to be Mekayim afterwards, and that's even though the Rebbe Seichel Suda, the Rambam argues. So it's not that mitzvah the heft or the mitzvah they have to eat the Suda in the middle. Even when the Rambam argues, the question is only how is that another poil? You don't have to say that there's another machlokes over here besides that. Over the prayer, what the heft of mitzvah is, whether the heft of mitzvah demands that it should be the suda. I mean, you could say a swear maybe because the suda is also mitzvah chelik, it's a derech chelik, but it's not muchach mitzvah the etzem sipur yitziyat mitzvah to eat the suda. So the tam of mufsakin is not shaykh at all by that God by sipur yitziyat mitzvah. So that tam that he says mufsakin will only work according if I can say it's mufsakin. If I say that I need the whole alichas asipur, and I say that halal and hidor is also a chelik of the mitzvah of sipur yitziyat. It's all a chelik of the mitzvah of sipur yitziyat mitzvah that part of sipur is not only tell. So then I can say the tam of mufsakin. But even if I say that, then it's not the cold wood. It's only the rekeach. Because it's only the gavre of nafsi. But not that the mitzvah mitzvah the chef also. And